Tournament regulations.
Okay, so and then did Joe Cass win the whole thing
Yeah, Jorge did.
with Scum?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Interesting. Tournament regulations. Yeah, so PAX should have been a top 8 and not a top 4.
yeah, they cut some corner. Well, I mean, this is this is the updated one, I guess,
Yeah,
for Worlds.
yeah.
So theoretically, they could.
Oh my God, number of
Could have
rounds.
had
If you had 257 plus players, you would play 9 rounds. That makes sense. That's a lot of rounds.
Yeah. Okay, I'm ready to record whenever you are.
Yeah, let me just what page is the where it mentions 90 minutes? Do you know where that's at? Looking for the highlighted
Yeah.
blue.
Yeah. It is on page 2 in event round times. If you just control F and search 90 minutes, it pops
Okay.
up too.
Minutes. There it is. Thank you. Okay, I think I'm good.
Yep. All right. Ready when you are.
All right.
And we're live.
You are listening to the 312 Squadron podcast. I'm back from missing my flight from Las Vegas, but I'm back. We're back for episode 25. My name is Nick Sperry.
My name is Andrew Kuba.
And Andrew, we got some news. GT talk about LVO, which I was able to witness and be a part of again. It's my 5th straight LVO, which is fun. And some time talk, talking about time a little bit as well. The word
there's
90 minutes.
Too much of it, and sometimes not enough.
Yeah, ain't that the truth for sure. How have you been?
I've been great. I've been doing some fun hobby stuff. I'm getting job interviews out there. So anyone who's been following that saga, I think hopefully, if all is going well, that might be coming to an end soon.
Fingers crossed there for sure. I just can imagine it can be tough. I know we've talked about it a bunch. But
yeah.
But the viewers
in the
care.
Meantime, though, staying positive. And while you were at LVO, I've been with my partner doing dancing, learning some blues dancing as well on the side. So that's been fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Going out, touching some grass, touching some dance floor.
It's touching some dead grass, and that you're in the Midwest right now. That's where we're at.
Some very hard packed ground.
Yeah. I went to an estate sale today for the first time. With a friend of mine, a coworker. She wanted to meet up to vent about work, which, as you know, there are things to vent about. And then she was like, "I'm going to a estate sale. Do you want to go?" I was like, "Sure." It was like 5 minutes away in Uptown, and it was cool. It was really packed, and it's kind of weird to like rummage through somebody's house and all their things.
That's always sad. Yeah.
But,
it's if you're not using the stuff, I would feel that I'd rather it go to people who would appreciate it and would also take care of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's one of those things where it's just I'm not sure exactly how it works. Like I know sometimes like the family like decides to just put it up for an estate sale. I don't know if like there's ever like because like you owe money. I don't know if that's like gets into that, but I'm not sure how any of it really works. But
I feel a lot of times it's just that the family has already divided up all the goods that they wanted. And so everything that's left over, instead
just
of
sell it
having
off.
a company remove it or donate it all, they will open it to the public to look through, see if they want anything. And then everything else usually gets like donated.
So it's like a larger yard sale, right? But it's like under different circumstances.
Yep, it's
typically
it's a whole house garage sale.
Well, there you go, folks. If you didn't have estate sale talk on your bingo card, you should add it because we're covering blues dancing, we're covering estate sales, we're going to cover LVO, we're going to cover 90-minute round times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you want to dive into LVO talk a little bit?
Honestly, yeah, super excited, super jealous.
Yeah, we missed you.
Wasn't able to go this year, but I something I still want to definitely make it out to because we had such a blast last year. But it was so
Yeah.
exciting to live vicariously through you and all of our friends out
You,
there as well.
you know what? I'm gonna say like so. A part of me it was gonna say like yeah, like you would have had a good time, and I know you would have. I did have a good time, but the other part of me is like I almost like didn't want people to kind of see your experience like where X-wing has gone from the main hall, gamer hall by the stage
Hmm.
to being what felt like relegated to a small like back room with like lights that were out and like dark mats that you couldn't see. Like it I don't think if there was an LVO to miss, this is what I'm going to say. If there was an LVO to miss of the last 5 LVOs that have featured X-Wing, this was for sure the one to miss.
Yeah.
We still had a fun time. The vibes are still good because the people are what make the vibes. But like at what I honestly thought when I was first sent a picture of them setting up in the room, I was like, that's kind of pathetic. It just felt pathetic, and it's not our fault. It's not X-Wing players' fault. It was Frontline Gaming is like, you don't have enough players. You don't have a lot of players. We're just gonna put you in this room, and it just I don't know. We felt like we were just not a part of the convention, if that makes sense. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It like kind of when you're relegated to a smaller area, especially when you don't have like the stage or like last year when they were doing the streaming and everything like that for the events too. Yeah, I can see how that feels like that. I would also say like me putting my positive spin on it would be very peak Vegas if you're in this like small smoke filled room, on the side
In
where
the
like the
Rio,
big
yeah.
games, in the Rio where like the real games go down.
Yeah. Yes, sure.
Like, had I
I
known
mean, there
that
is
was
a way
gonna
to
be
spin
the
it.
setup, I would have showed up with like a fedora and stuff, made a day of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it does feel you can kind of feel that the AMG 10 year of the game is coming to a close.
yeah. I mean, it made me reflect pretty heavily. I mean, I've been doing a lot more reflecting on X-wing and my part of playing in X-wing events and being a part of the community, but also just like my first LVO. It was my first biggest it was my first big convention, like first
Yeah,
con for X-wing. It was my first major tournament for X-wing.
that's
Everything
cool.
else had been like 30-ish people, maybe 24. This one, I mean, the Fly Better guys, D and Ryan, they hosted LVO 2020 at Bally's back when it was on the strip, and there was like I want to say, and don't quote me on this, but I know there was at least like around 200 people playing. It
Wow.
was massive the amount of tables needed for X-wing. Like, I mean, it was really wild. There were 6 rounds at the time. Now we only just do 5, but that back then there were 6 rounds and a graduated cut. Tournament regulations and structure was different. But just to think about kind of the glory days of X-wing and 2.0, when at that point that was 2.0 was only a little over a year old,
Hmm.
and just a few months removed from Worlds at that stage, to kind of going through the next 5 years through the pandemic and what that's done for all types of, all gaming and our lives in general. And then here in 2025, the Las Vegas Open, one where people from the Midwest and West Coast all tend to go to. It's the one that they all try to make it to because it's like a trip that most of us could afford to go to, and to
Yeah.
only have 45 people between 2 days of Swiss. Yeah, it's just like it's eye-opening, I guess. Not to really dwell on it or dig a huge hole and cry, but it's like, man, it's just got me thinking about it, I guess. Like,
Yeah. Well, I guess so. One thing going against LVO this year too wasn't the Phoenix Open also happening at like the same time?
that was PAX. That was
Or
during
that was
PAX.
during PAX. Okay,
Yeah,
never
which
mind.
did have around 40, I think it was 38 to 40 people.
Yeah,
It was
that
it
makes
was
more
around the
sense though.
same total number between 2 days. PAX was one day with a cut to top
Yeah.
four the
Yeah,
next.
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I blanked on that for a second because I was like, oh, it'd be crazy if you had one that was in Phoenix and then one 4 hours away in Vegas, you know, um, versus one in Philadelphia, one in Phoenix makes way more sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Thankfully, we didn't have to necessarily deal with that.
right. Yeah. So
But
yeah, so still,
yeah.
yeah.
Still, it was what was cool is I got to see my buddy Adam. Adam introduced himself to Andrew and I last LVO last year,
Yeah.
and he's a big fan of ours and really appreciate the support. Adam's a patron as well, just great dude. Got to play a game of X-Wing with him and got to get a drink with him and hang out. Got an
Oh,
out burger with him
nice.
and a bunch of other people, and it was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. So Adam, if you're listening to this, we appreciate you, and it is too bad Andrew couldn't make it out to hang with us,
Well,
but
I say hi to you too. Yeah,
yeah, he
because it
says
was a
hello
pleasure
as
meeting
well.
you last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and D Yoon and we roomed together. Dan McGinn, or shout out to Dan who runs the Fair Games Downers Grove X-Wing scene. It was his first time doing LVO, and we got to room with him and we had just a lot of fun, and honestly it is what you make of it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
X-Wing scene wasn't as vibrant and as massive in the glory days, but we still had a good time playing and hanging out, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it was looking at the people playing in the event too, top tier players that were there as well.
Yeah, I lucked out playing in day two had like it didn't have like the Jorge Castanedas, like it didn't even have the Dunes. Still good comp. Marcel played day one.
Yeah.
Innkeeper Tony played day one. A bunch of people that I know better in terms of their record and playing in organized X-Wing, but both days were pretty cutthroat, and honestly the list variety I was a little surprised. Like I was expecting more of specific types of archetypes that I never played against and didn't see too much of on both days, which we won't dive too much into everyone's list, but you just had honestly Republic was the only one that didn't deliver very good results. Like otherwise, there
Yeah.
was some pretty good faction representation besides the fifth place finisher, who did play Republic, a 7-chip Republic list. So shout out to K Helendros, going 3-1-1, just like me.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say not that many Republic showed up on day one, but I mean Republic still was top eight um,
Yeah.
in total, but two very different lists as well, which is cool.
Yeah. I'm looking through day two and
Also,
I
a
see
very
one Republic list.
diverse, yeah, very diverse top four day one too, because you got
Yeah.
Resistance, Scum, Empire, and Rebel, which is cool.
Just typically won't interact with the chat while we're doing our podcast, but I got a message here. Hey, Nick, I was a TO this year at LVO. Hey, Michael, thanks for the half double. He's talking about In-N-Out Burger. You're welcome. If you have
Nice.
any questions, I can try to answer them. Absolutely. Yeah, we will. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. You were very generous in giving us some awesome stuff for giveaways and really helps keep X-Wing alive. Your time and effort. So you,
Yeah, it's
Jeremy,
Nick
and
shared
John, appreciate you guys.
Nick shared the pictures of that. Thank you so much. That is so
Yes,
cool of you.
is so generous. Yeah, I'm already
Oh
excited
my
to be
gosh.
giving them away, new players and giveaways on our stream. So thank you. Yeah, honestly, I will now on this topic, I will give a shout out to John and Jeremy, who were the judges for Michael, who was the TO, and all three of them they ran a tight ship. It was smooth, it was efficient. They gave us proper time to set up, which was amazing because in the past that all the X-Wing events for 2.5, there's always been that one round where they give you like 5 minutes to set up and start and set your dials. And I just
Yeah,
glad I
that's
didn't
the
have to feel rushed because it's
lightning
stressful.
setup. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be it's important to give the players, especially if they just came off a game that was really close or went overtime or was heartbreaking or whatever the situation. Everyone, there's sometimes you need to like cool off. And I had a couple of those games. I had a game where I lost by 3 points. That was a bit of a heartbreaker. And then I had a game where I came back and tied. And that draw was the main reason why I didn't make cut because I finished fifth place out of instead of top four. But I was proud of the way that I flew, and my opponents were awesome and really competitive. And it just feels good to play competitive X-Wing, even if you're in a dark room with lights that are out and, 22 players instead of 200. It's still, you still get very much caught up in the immersed in the environment of playing competitive
Yeah, the
X-Wing.
game is still fun.
Yeah.
So let's talk about day two then, because
Yeah.
and
Day
let's talk
two.
about your experience day two, going through it.
Sure.
Just so one, I can live vicariously through you, but
Sure.
then two, just to get an idea of some of the lists and stuff that you've been seeing, and what was like from your perspective, like experience of how the tournament
Yeah.
went.
So day two, I brought what I call Wish.com Paul Heaver's list because it's the archetype that Paul Heaver won packs with, but it has a couple of different upgrades on Keo and Fen. So the list is, to be very quick with it, Fen Rao and the Fang Fighters is a rebel list with Beskar, Reinforced Plating, Mandalorian Optics, and Predator. And then it's the Battle over Endor Wedge. He gets that double modded Advanced Proton Torpedo, Extra Shield. Battle of Yavin Luke has that regen and the Pro Torp. And then it's Keo with Lone Wolf and Ion Missiles and Sabine. 5 shipper. Good 2 I6s, I5. You get a lot of high agility. You get regen, extra shields, double reposition stuff, like or not double reposition, but well, kind of with Sabine you do. And Keo can do the same. So in a way, you can.
Ion's been stronger than ever.
Yeah, and what's interesting is like the ion missile is more of like a tool that I employed only a couple times during the event, but it was a good threat to be able to get behind lists and target lock and kind of just threat a 3-die gun at a lower initiative. Right. And I got some value out of it for sure. It's definitely maybe not as good or optimized as Juke because Keo just always evades anyways, but I personally don't like vectored cannons as much, and I don't know. Juke is a little boring for me, but I get why it's good. I had nothing against it. Just not my favorite thing. So,
yeah, I think it's good though with Keo regardless. Anytime you give an A-wing a 3-die gun, that's great. And then where Ion is in the meta, just being able to break target locks, especially on some of those like lower initiative ships from other factions, is key.
Yeah, exactly. I would say that all of my games were pretty competitive. I was really happy with the way I flew. I had Fen Rao. I always put him in a pretty good spot. I put Wedge and Luke in ideal situations and positions. And the toughest game actually for me was against a 4-ship rebel list with a Gauntlet, a Ghost, it's Saw Gerrera in the U-Wing, and Sabine. Captain Matthew is his role better name from the Shaken Pilots. And it came down to the last turn. I was able to get some good shots into his Kanan, but man, with double heightened perception on Ezra and the Gauntlet and Kanan Jarrus and the Ghost is just so scary. It is a lot of double modded, a lot of extra dice shots.
He's rocking 4 chunky ships too with Kanan, Ezra, Saw Gerrera, and Sabine.
Yeah.
Not only are Kanan and Ezra really good at just slowly mitigating that damage, but the offensive output, especially with Saw Gerrera, getting those crits.
Yeah, I remember him shooting range 3 obstructed into Luke, and I blanked out, and I took like hit crit, and Luke ended up being on 1 hole with like loose stabilizer and like panicked pilot, and I was able to protect Luke and get him out of there, and he survived the rest of the game. But I mean, that was the tipping point. We were as close to the tipping point against me as possible, and I was able to pull it out. It was salvage mission too, which made it even more nerve-wracking. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I really love the way that I was really happy with the way that I played. Probably one of my best performances of late and better than I did at PAX, but just missing cut because of some just victim of circumstance. And I had I'm looking at my SOS. It's the second best SOS in the top 8.
I was gonna say your first round opponent made it into top 4. And then did your third round opponent make it as well?
Hold on. I played Brack Daddy, who went 4-1-0. Yeah. Shout out to Brack Lee.
So that was your
and
only
his son
loss.
Liam. That was my only loss. Yeah, and that was a really weird game because him and I, his FO list, it has like a targeting synchronizer midnight. It's got a sensor scramblers, plasma torpedo, and sensitive controls blackout, and then the whisper Kylo. With targeting synchronizer, you can shoot those plasma torpedoes with a focus instead. Midnight just never spends the lock, and what the big turning point in that game was that he shot up a target and sync plasma and only got 1 result, and Luke blanked out. and still took his
Oof.
shields and then died the next turn. And I was like, that was such a huge swing. So that set me back the rest of the game, and I ended up losing by a few points, even though I scored like 8 or 9 in the last round. It was a tough one to lose, but he played really well and he made cut and he deserved it for sure. So yeah, good competition, great people.
Yeah.
Dwight Lindsay, I want to give him a proper shout because he played day 2 with
Yeah.
me. Dwight from Lock and Roll, who we've had, a friend of the show, has been on a couple
He
episodes
was
ago.
on yeah, 2 episodes ago, yeah.
He brought CIS, a 5-ship CIS list with Sun Fac. No Vulture droids in the list at all. It was like Dirge, Sun Fac, a couple HMPs, one with Kalani, that tactical relay droid that gives you like target locks, and Grievous. And he scored 80 mission points, which is tied for the most in the top 4 from day 2, and went 4-1. So Dwight had a great run with CIS, which technically and statistically is the worst faction in AMG points, like with a lot of data for us to look at.
Yeah.
Is the worst performing, and so it's neat to see him put together a combo that worked against this slightly shifted meta because of that little tiny points update they gave us last year. So
Yeah, in this top form, 2 Rebel lists, 1 FO, and 1 CIS. So I believe that when we go into top 8, every single faction is represented.
yeah, and if you go to day I'm looking for top cut. How do I find top cut and roll better?
If you go into the ladder for any of the days.
Okay, got it. Ladder. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about let's talk about, we talked about the people who made top 8. D Yoon, also give him a shout out. He brought known as Rathos. He's just a troll in Roll Better, which is really funny. He is not yet the Yasby architect. He's just trolling. But D brought a 4-ship rebel list. It was Luke, Wedge, Chopper, and the Ghost, and Sabine, I believe. I think that adds up to 6, 11, 16. No, he had a 4-pointer. I'm trying to think of who that would be. Maybe it was Ahsoka. I don't remember. I can look at his list. It'll tell me, right?
Yeah.
View summary.
Yeah, he's got the B wing.
Oh, the Gina Moonsong. That's right.
Gina, yep.
Yeah, so no Sabine is Gina Moonsong, a 4-ship list with the plasma torp proton cannon. You can like double tap with it. It's really crazy, the damage potential. Poor guy got diced a bit in his top 8 game. And then I think Seth is the one I'm thinking of, who brought a really good rebel list with
Yeah.
Boudica in it.
Yes. This is with Boudica and Ahsoka, with Luke,
Yeah.
Wedge, and Sabine.
Yeah, Luke, Wedge, Boudica, Ahsoka, Sabine, and he basically just has Ahsoka give actions the whole game, and patience is the force back, so she can do it every turn.
Patience.
Yeah,
So she's
it's pretty
that
good.
and double modding Ahsoka, double modding whoever, needs it.
Yeah, she can't use her ability on herself, but she could still double mod her shots with her force anyways, right? She could take a lock with concussion missiles, and so yeah, a lot of opportunities for her. And Boudica with the double tap, being able to bonus attack pretty much every turn, is very, very solid.
Yeah, and Ahsoka has concussion missiles too, so
yeah,
she has a way to
it's
get
no
that
joke for sure. No joke. But what really not surprising, considering he was a runner-up at Worlds, Jorge, one of the sweetest, best X-Wing players I know, and the best in the world because of just the fact that he is, brought a scum list, and he played day 1, and he ended up winning the whole thing. With his 5-ship scum list, featuring Fen Rao, Han Solo, Dirge, Lima Kai, and Bosk. Like, and so Han, one of the points changes they made, that AMG made, was they brought Han down to 5 in the Falcon, with just like 10 loadout, but enough to take Maul. And so in the Maul, and this is the Maul that coordinates. There's a few different Maul crew, but this is the one that like coordinates. So he's doing an I6 coordinate with perfect information, or almost perfect information, and oftentimes giving Dirge, Lima, or a lot of cases Fen Rao an additional action. And with Lando's Falcon title, you can still fire a 3, or maybe in Han's case 4 shot gun with the Falcon. A lot of health for 5 points, high initiative, coordinating. I mean, gosh, doesn't seem so bad to me.
Yeah. This is the Mandalorian Maul, yeah.
Yeah, Dirge with proton cannons, false transponder codes, and marksmanship. That is a nasty uh, shot to take. The false transponder codes is just so good. If I were playing against Jorge, I would do everything I could to make sure Keo locks to drop that false transponder code. That is a
Yeah.
really nasty thing to deal with. And then Lima Kai with Plasma Torps and Dorsal, just have her flank. And if no one looks at her, hey, thanks for the target lock.
Yep. And then, yeah. And Dirge, right. Yeah. We were talking already. Just
Yeah.
really hard to take down.
Yeah. Lima might be a guy. I apologize if I get Lima confused. Them. I will use the pronoun them for Lima Kai. And then Bosk, of course, the most dangerous pilot in the whole list, of course, in that Z95. He could sneak in some damage, marksmanship, expert handling for 2 points.
Yeah. Oh, Lima Kai is a man.
Yeah, Lima's a dude. Oh no, I got it wrong. But in the wake of all the news, I feel like that's probably one of the least cancelable offenses. There's a lot of bigger fish to fry these days, Andrew, right? So we'll get into that, but just
Lima's
the kind
an
of where we're at.
game.
Yeah, that's true. But Lima is a lot of. I really like Lima. Lima used to be 4 points with more loadouts. You could take Pro Torps, but 3 points with plasmas is still really, really good. And obviously a good part of Jorge's list. A lot of high initiatives. He only had the lowest as an I4, 2 I5s, 2 I6s. And man, I know Fen Rao is 6 points, but with Fearless, Predator, Beskar, and Mandalorian Optics, that is a lot. That's almost like a guaranteed 5 hits when he gets into range 1. That's a lot to deal with.
For sure.
Yeah.
And in, in this list too, there's really no good options to go after.
No, there aren't.
Bosk is only 2 points. Fen Rao is 6. Like, maybe you want to go for that first, but if you're then leaving Lima Kai, Dirge, and Han, like any of them alone, they're just going to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Dirge is
see why this is
pretty easy to kill Lima. There's about 9 points of things that you can try to go after. But Han and Fen are going to be really tough, especially Han.
Yeah, and I feel like you almost though have to take out either Fen or Han pretty quickly. Yeah. Or otherwise, they're just going to also be able to take the 9 points away from you right back.
I remember talking to Jorge. I played a TTS game with him before LVO, and I asked him like what he was bringing, and I'm like, "Are you bringing Republic?" He's like, "No, I'm just bringing some jank." I'm like, "I don't think it's very good," and he wins the whole thing. So
yeah,
I just wish I could just be like that. That's just such a flex, Like, I know he wasn't trying to like he did. He's gonna try to win the whole thing, but
right.
I just found that really amusing. It's like I'm just Jake. Maybe it's not so janky, Jorge. Maybe not.
Yeah, just calling your list a pile. Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, LVO, like PAX, it was good to see different things. And I can now confidently say that Worlds, I'm not, besides like these like 4-ship Imperialists, they're going to feature like a Vader, a Soontir, a Whisper, like that kind of combo, and plus whatever you want to fit in, a fair off or something else. Like, I think we might see a little bit of an uptick in Scum. I think we'll see an uptick in, the Republic has always been so popular. I still think that the primary 3 factions we're going to see the most of is going to be Empire, Republic, and Rebels. My prediction is that Empire is going to be probably the most represented, and then Republic, and then Rebels is like my prediction, but we'll see.
You know what?
What do you think?
I guess I'll take that bet. I'm gonna say Rebels is going to be the most brought faction.
Let's hope if we remember to revisit, then we'll do a fun little bet for it. I don't know.
That's right.
Empire, I'll buy you a drink. A Malort cocktail.
You know what? I don't mind Malort, so I'll take it.
And shout out to Connor, who was the runner-up at this event. And Connor conveniently just subscribes to the channel through Twitch, because we're streaming for subscribers right now on Twitch. And Connor brought a really cool Imperialist with some bombers, which is cool. And not the bombers that you might be traditionally thinking of. Well, a little bit of list, a little bit of that, but I'll read the list really quick. He brought a Vader, SSP Vader, SL Whisper, and then 3-point Tomax with feedback ping and barrage rockets. My boy Tomax without the SL. This is 3.1. Major Rhymer with feedback ping and barrage rockets, and then Deathfire. So custom Tomax and custom Rhymer in the list. Clearly did very well. Made it all the way to top 2. I don't remember, Connor, what the final score was, just because we were too busy arguing about the prequels in the corner. We actually got in trouble and were asked to move because we got too heated with our
Oh my
conversations about
gosh.
Star Wars while they were
Only Star
playing their
Wars
important
fans.
top two game. We're so ridiculous. Um, but I do know that it was an intense game, and yeah, Connor's a good dude. It was nice to meet him for the first time. He's in our league, and I'm in an NCX as well. So but yeah, man, tell me about this Vader Whisper combo, Andrew, because you've been playing it. I played against it. It's good. We talked
It's
about it a little bit, but
it's so good. Any time that you can get a focus lock on with Whisper. I mean, I think Whisper combos with any X1, but just Vader and Whisper together just hits so hard. Um, because basically, whenever a ship at range 1 to 2 of Whisper takes a target lock, then Whisper can acquire a lock on that same target. Doesn't have to be in range at the time. Just whenever it happens, then they just get the lock. And already they have an evade from coming out of cloak, and then they have a focus. Then they can take focus for their action, and then they just get a target lock. So, you're almost guaranteed a target lock there. And then the cool thing that Whisper can do is if Whisper doesn't use the target lock when they fire, Whisper can spend the lock, and then another ship within, I believe, range 1 to 2 of Whisper can acquire
it's like
a
synced
lock.
console.
Yeah,
I'm curious
basically,
if Connor
yes.
did that at all with Tomax or Reimer to give them double modded barrage rockets.
I mean, yeah, that's something that yeah, you could do as well, which that combo seems really good on its face too. And then
Yeah.
when Whisper shoots, Whisper can take a cloak action, uh, and
So
can do that twice a game. And so now, if they're shooting back at you, you're rolling 4 dice.
you know what's really crazy about feedback ping and Deathfire, Andrew? I just thought about this.
I was gonna say
Deathfire can
that is a combo. That what a combo.
launch and just go anywhere with those bombs, and then as soon as the enemy ship executes a maneuver, 0 to 1 of the bomb, Deathfire just like yeeted at
Yep.
them. You get these locks for double modded barrage rockets. Like, I mean, that is a type of like alpha that
Yeah.
gives me nightmares, especially as somebody who has been playing a Fang Fighter and 2 T65s. Like, I'm gonna pass. That sounds awful. You better hope that you to me, I played against Deathfire enough. Like, Deathfire is kind of predictable, but
Mhm.
you still can't necessarily, like, you have to play against it, and therefore you have to, your opponent still wins out in most cases, even if you're not getting hit by these bombs, or like the feedback pings are going off. You have to like be mindful of it, and that mind game is very effective.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because for 3 points, Deathfire still packs a lot of punch, but yeah, adding that feedback thing to it too, nasty. That what a great list. That sounds so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super super fun. I took a photo of his list. He had cool painted dials and ships. I was like, it was a little photo op. Like, as we're setting up for like his top four cut game, he's like, "Hey Nick, can you take photos of my list?" And we like took time out of to take photos, a little photo
That's
shoot of
awesome.
his list. It was fun. Yeah, it was a good time. It's nice to feel included because I'm Mr. 3-1-1 over here, just like Squidward, that meme of him looking through the blinds of his house, seeing SpongeBob and Patrick having fun. Like, that was me, but I still had a good time.
Oh,
My
yeah.
my
There's so many people out there that feel that too.
it's
Like
just like,
I'll always
to
remember
be in the
the time that I
bubble.
was 11th place at um Gen Con, like just outside of top 10. Like,
Yeah, it's tough,
but I
man.
mean, still, that there's, of all the 40 people, or the 21 people that played in that game, you're number 5. Like, you
Yeah.
still did so good. No, someone's got to be number 5.
Someone's got to be number 5, and I definitely set high expectations for myself because I believe I'm a pretty good X-wing player at this stage. But I always set my expectations on making cut, and it can always feel a little bit of a burn when you don't. But someone's got to miscut by a draw, and I'll be that guy. That's fine.
There is plenty of psychological research out there that says that second place is actually the most devastating thing to get,
You hear that, Connor?
because you could have gotten first. No, but I mean, it's a very real thing.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're right. I'm just messing with him.
yeah, like cases of depression among Olympians are silver place medalists.
If unless you were searching for the Holy Grail, 5 is right out. Yeah, I agree. Right out. It is. And I was right out of the cut for sure. But it was really cool watching these players play different, really cool lists, good variety, good people. It just, yeah, it was good. And again, Michael and Jeremy and John just ran just a really smooth event. I will say it's a little easier when you do have everyone in kind of a controlled space. I think that side of it actually benefits the TO, and that's good.
Oh, for
Whereas you don't have to
sure.
be patrolling like 20 tables worth of games, 40 tables worth of games. Like, would I think it would be really funny if like 80 X-wing players showed up and they like forced Frontline to give us a bigger space? Yes, because I just would think that's funny. Plus, more players is always good, but it was they were able to really do a good job running LVO because we had a lockdown space for everything. So
Yeah, that's
um
great.
yeah, and I will say I'm gonna try to segue this super well. I'm gonna my attempt.
Oh,
One of my games, the game that I lost, we went to. It was a tense game. A lot of like trying mind games about where we think we're going to be moving and stuff like that. Some longer planning phases. We ended up playing 5 rounds, which 5 to 6 rounds
oh
is about
wow.
average. No shame in
Yeah.
that. But I really wanted, like, I was really hoping we could have gotten 1 or 2 more rounds in. And now it seems, Andrew, that per some updates from Atomic Mass Games for Worlds, and GT's moving forward, there's going to be more time. There's going to be 90 minutes plus or minus versus the original 75.
Yeah, which is huge. So
Yeah,
90
it's
minutes, yeah, plus or minus.
how
So it's going to be
how
long days because it's still going to be what, 5
long
rounds or whatever.
days. How, Andrew, let me ask you a question. On average, would you say that more often than not, in the games that are close that you end up losing, do you wish you had more time to play more rounds
Well,
more
it
often than not?
depends. It depends the list that I'm flying. If I'm flying an AC, heavy hitter list, then yes, I want more rounds. If I'm flying like Republic arcs or a big ship list or things with Y wings, I want those games to go as short as possible and get those objectives. So those are the games that you're kind of looking for like 5, 6 rounds
But the
because if
games
it
that
goes
you
to
lose
70,
by
you
just a
lose.
few points, like you
Oh yeah,
probably
no,
do
you
wish that you
always
had.
so many games that comes down to where you're just like, if I just had one more round, I think I could have got
Mhm.
there. Yeah.
And you think this probably solves that, right? Would you say this change?
I think that I mean, yeah, it solves that for the players that want that. I think that now taking this extra time is going to matter on how you build their lists by adding more time to it. For some games, objectives are going to be more important. Having ships that can stay alive longer are going to be far more important. Um, and I think, yeah, this is going to fundamentally change the way that we build lists and think about objectives. I also think that this does adding more time might also give some players that were going to win anyway, just have them win more. But that just
Yeah.
depends on the state of the game.
I think, I mean, as the type of player that I am in the list that I fly, I think it will benefit me. And at the very least, I just would rather my games go to 20 than lose like 18 to 16 or 17 to 16 or 15, whatever, and have play
Yeah.
5 rounds. And, most scenarios too, you're always like, there's always feels like there's some momentum shifting a little bit in the end game when the games are close, and in like scramble or salvage or assault, like things can swing pretty heavily. Like the game I lost, they scored like 8 points in the last round, so almost like half the threshold to win, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but it'll be interesting. I think the downsides are just going to be we're not used to this. We've gotten accustomed to I'm trying to think of like we're not used to it, and I do wonder, like, I don't know if anybody was asking for this. I don't necessarily think that matters, but is it necessary? I'm on the fence about it. I think it has some benefits to like completing games, but
Yes.
the drawbacks are going to be excruciatingly longer days. Um, yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
3
yeah.
hours for 2 games now. So
Exactly. So, yeah, because we're adding an extra 15 minutes on to each game, which is basically an extra 75 minutes for a 5 game day. So it's the same as going 6 rounds instead. And
Yeah.
that's not including, and this 90 minutes too is playtime. So this does not include like setup time or anything like that.
Yeah, I remember there being sorry, I muted. I remember there being some confusion from people when this first was announced, because like the AMG didn't really make it clear if like this included setup time or not, and I assumed it did, and then there was the kind of the formal correction from the folks that will be assisting at Worlds, including Chris
Hmm.
Allen, being like, no, does not include setup time. This is game time. So yeah, I mean, the most important thing for me, if anything, if I've ever wanted more time for X-Wing 2.5, it's just been to set up. There's
Right.
just so many components to track. Scenarios, it's like, is this one the 3 or 5? Do I start place on your side or my side first? And I mean, honestly, I would say in competitive X-Wing tournaments, I like maybe half the time we're still setting up obstacles when they start time. Like we haven't even set up our ships yet, and I definitely am not a slow turn zero player, but I do feel like I'm forced to make maybe some more suboptimal choices in turn zero when I know that I'm going to lose like up to 5 to 10 minutes of time if I actually think about things. I like time.
Yeah.
I don't think I can afford to lose.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I would say, one thing that we've been saying this whole time, when since 2.5 came on, is that turn zero is so important. I think it's one of the most important aspects of the game is understanding turn zero. So it's not something in tournament setting that I would want to rush at all to.
Yeah. You're gonna be at Worlds though. You're gonna be at our Airbnb. It's gonna be
I
a
sure
packed
am.
Airbnb. It's gonna be a vibe, a good time. Are you have you been able to grab your stuff yet? Or are you excited? Everyone, by the way, things are registration's open for Adepticon. I definitely recommend booking, getting your badge and stuff sooner than
Yep.
later.
I'm registered. I'm playing on Friday, and yeah, got the badge, got everything. Super excited. Uh, Looking forward to some of the side event games there as well. And yeah, no,
Yeah, and there's gonna be new
I'm ready. I
prizes.
haven't selected a list I'm gonna bring yet though, and then them adding this 90 minutes I think is interesting for me. Um, One of
Yeah,
my
I don't
first
know
theories
what I want to bring. But
is that arcs become worse. So it is an extra 15 minutes per round. It doesn't sound like a lot, but for a lot of these arc lists, when you're flying a list that has like 5, or sometimes with the Republic list can have up to 6 or 7 ships in
seven,
them.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, your rounds are going to 5, especially if you're playing someone else who also is setting 6 ship, 5 or 6 ship list too, just from selecting the dials. Usually, going 5 rounds, 6 rounds is fine. But I think with this extra, 17 minutes, you can guarantee that you're probably now going into 7 rounds. Like 6 or 7 rounds is going to be
Yeah,
the
that's
average.
that'd be awesome. 6 or 7,
Yeah.
it really should be the minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I mean this might be a good thing overall, for 2.5. But for these lists that play like those bigger ships, like those arcs, like if you're playing like against Han Solo, or the Falcon, or any like Y wings, things like that, you now I think have the extra round or two to get the significant chip damage in them to maybe swing a game.
Yeah, I agree. I
Which,
agree.
I also think might be an okay thing. As much as I've loved Resistance these past couple years, flying against Resistance Y wings with wartime loadout
Oh,
feels like just an impossible task
that's
to
such a
try
uh,
and destroy one of those
yeah, 3 points too.
for
Congrats.
3 points
3 rounds of
exactly.
shooting for 3 points. There you go. Yeah, I think we'll see more 4 ship lists. It'll be mostly Empire. They'll be bringing the 4 ship lists. Maybe like risk list with like Ray, but she's kind of a fringe. Like could be really good. Like low, like high floor, high ceiling kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I like my Rebel list a lot, but I do want to bring something that gives me the best chance of making day two. And I feel like I'm like hitting, like I'm right there, like knocking on the door. But is this list gonna get me through? I don't know. I'm a little mean to Fenrau. I call him a choke artist all the time because unfortunately he is one of the worst end game
is
pieces. He might be an I6, but he just dies so quick.
boy, same thing. Yeah,
Anytime I spend my focus, it's just
Fenrau
brutal.
and Soontir, uh, Fenrau and Soontir, I think are both they're both characters that the more chances you have to shoot at them, the more likely they are going to blank
Oh,
out.
oh yeah. I mean, honestly, I'll take SL Soontir over Rebel Fenrau 10 times out of 10.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, right. Like even
I
after Soontir's exhausted his ability charges and only
Yeah,
has like the mod with the like the force mod. Yeah, the
I would
rerolls, like
say
yeah.
after SL Vader, SL Soontir is the second best ship in the entire game.
Yeah, and then
You know
probably
what? I take
third.
it back. Third, I would go Wedge. I would go
Yeah,
battle over engine
yeah.
Wedge.
So we're okay. Real quick, the top five. If you okay, let's take SL Soontir, SL Whisper,
If I
SL
had to
Vader,
draft the
Luke,
best,
and Wedge. Where were you ranking these guys? Let's just assume Jendon's like in the top 10 because he is.
oh for sure. Yeah, I mean, I
But
would
I
I would
won't put
still
Jendon there.
go. I would still go Vader number one.
Okay.
I would go Wedge two.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go Soontir three. Uh,
Whisper or
I would say
Luke?
I would say Luke 4,
Ooh. Okay.
Whisper 5, and the only reason why is because Whisper isn't invincible. I mean, there's a lot of tech going on with Whisper, but she can be caught out of
Yeah.
place defensively. Um, and also, if Whisper is stressed, that is so bad.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
I
while
think I
if well if I take it back. So you can remove a stress token if she's cloaked.
if you
However,
cloak. Yeah.
how
That's so
when it
ridiculous.
comes to things like Ferrosphere Paint, or if there's like if you have to spend that evade and you're stressed and you can't gain that cloak back, I mean,
Hmm.
then you are really a sitting duck.
Yeah, I will say I think I agree with your ranking, but I would flip Luke and Whisper. I think Luke's at the bottom of the list, only because he is a platform that is not agile or mobile. And his two agility goes a lot less of a ways, even though he has force, which is his ability is one of the best and most thematic abilities in the game, and he has
Yeah.
regen. But Luke tends to be, if Luke is taking damage, he tends to be in very high danger of just dying that turn, anyways, at least in 2.5. Luke tends to want to trade one shot, maybe two at range. If he's getting shot more than that or at a closer range, he can just explode. Whisper, I think there's a lot of things that go Whisper's way, especially with the ability to cloak after shooting at a high initiative. So that's the only main
Oh,
reason that I'm going to flip him. But yeah,
I think it's close. I mean, I'm still sticking with mine also because Luke can take objectives. Whisper is not really good. Whisper does not want to carry crates. Whisper
that's true.
wants to be mobile enough, so isn't really as impactful. I feel like in assault, and doesn't want to be taking the scramble action, where Luke is totally fine taking
Yeah,
the
I
scramble
think head to
action.
head, like if you were to just play Whisper against Luke, I think Whisper would win, but it'd be the Pro Torp's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's
Well,
a good way at
unless you're not
Worlds.
first player, then you lose the lock, and you got instinctive aim the Pro Torp, but still,
They're both I5, so then you also have the
and road roll is a huge
it comes
thing.
down to road a little bit too.
Yeah,
Yeah. And also, so I mean, you know what? They're going to be having aces high at Worlds, and I think that would be a wonderful time to see, who's on top.
yeah. Whisper would be wild at Aces High for sure. That would be really fun.
I
That
would
would
bring
be
Whisper for aces high for sure.
yeah, that would be a real good time. Um, Now, anything else on this topic? There's one more thing I wanted to talk about that might pique the interest of the people who are listening and watching live right now.
Yeah. I was going to say the one thing that I kind of like about it going to 90 minutes is that we'll have more games that will end because someone's hit 20 points. That would be cool. I still think games like Scramble, or not Scramble, Salvage Mission are still going to be fairly low point scoring games, but it does make that the crates matter a little bit more. And
Yeah, just
that's the
objectives in
last thing I
general,
wanted
like
to
you
say on
said.
that. Yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit, just as kind of in a few days, the X-Wing Alliance is going to be posting an update, a preview for 3 factions worth of standardized loadout pilots that will be coming out. I'm not going to get into the details because technically I'm leaking this by saying this, but look out for those watching live, especially, and for those listening, you might have access to this information in more detail by the time you listen. But very exciting. It's been fun working with design on, porting over the language to the article, the preview article template, for the press release template, and just kind of as Worlds comes up and as we're prepping for that, it's nice to have some breadcrumb of excitement for what's going to come after, because that is going to be the bigger unknown, and things are looking really good and really exciting and really fun. So yeah,
That's
I'm excited
cool.
to talk about that in more detail the next episode we record. But also, if you're watching, the Sith Taker Open is happening in or if you're looking for X-Wing to watch, that is going to be happening this next weekend. And right now it is today is the 26th. Sunday the 26th is when we're recording this. So STO is happening the weekend of February 1st. There will also be a more specific conversation about XWA design stuff during the STO event. So if you're watching the stream, I'm sure you'll catch that. You should watch the stream. That is going to be Firecast Focus's last X-Wing stream, until they're going to be hanging it up. So I definitely ask you guys, implore you, if you have the time, to give them some love, to tune in for some in-person X-Wing. As someone who just casually streamed in-person X-Wing at my apartment, streaming in-person X-Wing is really hard, takes a
Yeah.
lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort. So just, give them the support they deserve if you can. And watch some live X-Wing. It's going to be a huge event using XWA points. I'm going to be really excited to see how that's going to be the early beta points meta defining tournament, to really see what truly is the strongest in this version of the points and what isn't. And yeah, so there's a lot to look forward to, and you guys should tune in. So
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't. I heard like rumors about. I heard rumors that standardized loadout points were being developed by XWA. I had no idea that they were going to come out this soon. That is such cool news
well,
because that's the
they'll be teased early. They won't be like available to play right
gotcha.
away.
Hey,
That'll come a little later. We don't want to step on
that
any
is
toes.
that
But
is fine. I think just knowing that that's out there,
yeah, hmm
that's gonna be so fun.
yeah, it's going to be the factions. You guys can probably think about the factions that don't really get much love, if any, of the SLs, and you can go from there. Your mind can start to wander, and more news will come very soon. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to use my connections to leak in a very vague way some exciting stuff that is going to be announced soon. So again, tune into STO. Look out in the our Discord and in the 2.5 edition server for
Yes.
announcements and posts as well.
Yeah, I'm
So.
always excited to see the Sith Taker Open. It's always such a cool event. The people who run it are amazing. So definitely check that out.
Absolutely. And shout out again to Firecast Focus, has had a really long standing, successful run of streaming games in the UK for X-Wing. And I understand the burnout and the feeling of, it's just now is the time for them. And again, I think they deserve a really good, great send off. So
Big time.
it'll be a good time all around. Yeah. Last thing before we wrap up, Andrew, is I just wanted to plug the Conquest series. Again, I'll be doing this a lot, as much as I can. We got a couple of
Yeah.
months until it starts, but tickets are going pretty quickly. We're about halfway sold for the Chicago Conquest, the first one to kick off this year-long series of X-Wing tournaments online, using XWA points, using what could be new pilots, new components. Who knows? It's going to be all in the world of XWA. I'm excited to partner with them for this. So definitely look into getting your tickets as soon as you know you can. $5, you get in the door. If you're a patron and want to play, you can play up to 3 for free. Message me if you're a patron, and I'll get you in to the Roll Better page. Yeah. Any final comments, insults, compliments, anything from you, Andrew?
No, I was gonna say it's been great hearing your weekend. I'm happy that it went so well and that you're back here streaming and recording again too.
It's good to be back. I'm glad I made it. I survived my American Airlines flight, red eye flight, my middle seat with my neck cramps, and it was great. But you haven't truly lived until you've experienced that, I feel like.
Until you get bumped from a flight and are forced to fly overnight and arrive at
Yeah.
6 in the morning.
Yeah. Also, folks, if you're ever going through TSA, there's a high chance they're gonna, if you have X-wing stuff in your bag, high chance they're gonna flag your bag. So that's what happened
If
to me.
you play trading card games and if you have X-wing stuff, yeah, because they have no idea what they're looking at.
Yeah.
It just looks like a weird brick or weird blobs, and every time I guess my bags get pulled every time.
It really funny though. I went to another terminal when I missed my flight and went through TSA again to get into that terminal, and they didn't look at my bag. And that was partially the reason why I missed my flight, was because they had to pull my bag. And I just thought that was really funny. It was like, oh,
maybe the person, I was like, maybe the other person played X-wing before, so they were just like,
yeah,
oh, this is
it's X-wing stuff. I recognize it.
Usually when they pull out my X-wing stuff, I have to like explain to them what the game is, because they're just like, what is this?
I know one time at Midway, they made me step into, like, they asked me to step into the little like closed off section where they pull your bag and look through it and you stand next to it. They're like, he's like, I told him how the box works, and he's like, just come step in here and just open it for me. I just like, so I'm just like in the TSA area just with this guy just like opening the box and showing him my components.
Yep.
Oh, it's so funny. All right, you guys. So three big things. STO happening this coming weekend with some awesome, exciting XWA news. We've got Adepticon Worlds registration is open. Make sure you get that stuff locked down as soon as possible. That's going to be in Milwaukee and not Schaumburg this time. And then the other thing is the Conquest series. Just look out for more updates on that. And if you haven't got your ticket, you should. It's going to be a lot of fun. We just posted the tournament champ plaque. The Conquest series plaque in the Google Doc, so we have that now to tease. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening and supporting us all the way through and beyond GT season and beyond us, AMG support for the game. Super excited to be a part of XWA, both internally and supporting the efforts of the X-Wing Alliance. And thank you to all of our patrons who have supported us and made all of this possible. We hope you guys have a good rest of your week, or whenever you're listening to this. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys very soon. And thank you so much. Follow us on Twitch, YouTube, all the things, and check out the podcast description for any helpful links that you might need. My name is Nick Sperry.
My name is Andrew Kuba.
And we are signing off.
Good night. All right, nice.
That was a good one. What's up, Lambolo? How's it going? Hamdongle, subscribing before following is definitely different, but I appreciate you. Thanks for the follow, man. That was a good episode.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna get this edited out this week, and I think I have a free day tomorrow, so I can start on that. So hoping to launch on Wednesday.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll get the description stuff updated. I think I probably owe you a few links, like Sith Taker link. Try to get the Longshanks link for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, should be. Yeah, that sounds good. Wednesday.
Yeah, because I want to get this out just early, just so people then have a chance to mark the Sith Taker open on their calendars.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, really helpful.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thanks,
Thank
man.
you all for
as always.
Whoever's listening. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday night.
Yeah, I enjoy doing the live streams on the Twitch side. Sometimes people are talking to me in the chat. I'm like, I can't directly talk to you the whole time, but I feel bad. But yeah, it was nice. Appreciate you guys all being here.
Still nice. We know that when you fly, you can choose to fly with any service, and we thank you for choosing 312 Squadron.
Yeah, 312 Squadron. We're the Airbus of X-Wing streams. I think
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I like Airbus is pretty good. I like Airbus. All right, y'all. Well, Andrew, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you. And have a wonderful evening.
You too. Take care, man.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That was a good recording. What was I gonna say? Oh, the LED lights. So the ones that I usually use, the soft white ones, they emit this really loud, just like sharp high frequency, and when I have the headphones on, I can't hear it, but man, does it drive me crazy. So these lights aren't so bad. I don't hear much, but I cannot stand having any of the stuff on while I sleep. I would never. I could not do it. It actually kind of freaks me out. So I know Jay Bark was jabbing me earlier. Like, do you sleep with those on? It is cool. I like having the blue, little dark, contrasty background. All about the BG. Just need to buy plane tickets for Worlds. Yeah, I've never been to Milwaukee. I'm really lucky that I don't have to fly. I actually, when they first announced that it was moving to Milwaukee, I was kind of bummed out because I knew how it affected like literally everybody. Anybody outside of the country, like good luck, and anybody that doesn't live within a drive. Milwaukee's a small airport, and not like might be. I don't know what the prices are like. You guys can tell me if they're expensive getting flights there. I hope not, but it's a smaller airport, versus the hubs of O'Hare and Midway, especially O'Hare. O'Hare is just a great airport to be near because everybody can fly into it. All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to chill out the rest of the evening. Appreciate you guys. And take care.